In Japan, Yakuza leader Oyabun is disappointed because 3 of his men have failed him. As punishment, they must lose a finger. Joe and the second man do the cutting to prove their loyalty, but the third one only pretends to do so while hiding his finger behind his hand. Oyabun doesn't fall for it and quickly decapitates the guy. Then he orders Joe to go to the town of Normal in Minnesota. 3 weeks later, Ulysses is staying in a motel in Normal. Since Sheriff Gunderson recently passed away, Ulysses is here for an 8-week interim job as sheriff until the town can elect a new one. Deputy Mike picks him up and together they leave for the station. Normal is a very peaceful town, so there isn't much for Ulysses to do. Whenever he has a minute, he calls his wife and leaves her voicemails to keep her up to date on his life even though they're separated and agreed to give each other space. During the trip, Ulysses sees a sign that announces $16.8 million have been raised for the town, and he's surprised that this little community can get so much money. At the police station, Tom is being very rude to receptionist Sally. Ulysses firmly makes him stop without violence. Tom starts complaining about his neighbor, so Deputy Blaine agrees to take care of the issue. Afterward, Ulysses spends several hours dealing with paperwork. His curiosity grows by the second, so he checks Gunderson's file to learn he died of hypothermia. Gunderson left a gun that says from Dad, so Ulysses takes the last bullet before putting it away in the evidence locker. Then Ulysses checks the armory and is surprised by how well stocked it is. There's even C4 explosives. He asks Sally about it, so she mentions that after 9/11, Gunderson applied for every anti-terrorism grant available. In the afternoon, Ulysses patrols the town and leaves a ticket on a car that belongs to bartender Maura. She gets angry when she sees it, but she calms down when she opens it because it only says park better. In the evening, Ulysses goes to a restaurant and notices all the guns decorating the walls. The owner explains that his grandfather collected them and that they're all loaded. On TV, the weather report announces more snow coming, and Ulysses hears Joe complain about Minnesota at another table. That night, Ulysses dreams about gunshots and a screaming woman. When he wakes up, he hears something strange outside, so he grabs his gun and goes to investigate. There are several red stains on the snow, and Ulysses follows them until he discovers that a moose accidentally spilled red paint because the can is stuck on its antlers. Sometime later, Ulysses and Mike go to the hardware store, where the owner Maynard is arguing with a client over prices. The cops separate them and Ulysses talks to them firmly, but the men soon start arguing again. Mike has to yell to make them stop and takes the client away. Then Ulysses notices a cabinet with lots of locks and Maynard says it contains stump removers, but refuses to explain what that means. At that moment, Mary Beth comes looking for Ulysses and drags him to her yarn shop to complain because the supplier sent her the wrong yarn. Ulysses notices that she has a police scanner and she claims that she's lonely, but Mike calls her nosy. Later, a memorial is held at Gunderson's very fancy house and Ulysses wonders how a sheriff could afford it. While Mayor Kibner gives a speech in memory of Gunderson, Mike reveals he stole the badge from the body before they closed the casket and now puts it on Ulysses' chest. Then Ulysses looks around the house and notices a picture of Gunderson with Walter, the doctor who signed Gunderson's death certificate. At that moment, Walter approaches him and pours some drinks, so Ulysses asks for more details about Gunderson's death. Walter explains that Blaine found Gunderson out back, frozen in just his underwear. The theory is that he went ice fishing, but Ulysses points out that nobody fishes at night or naked. Walter points at all the bottles in the cabinets, calling Gunderson a drinker. Their chat is interrupted by Kibner, who sends Walter away for privacy. Kibner explains that he's heard how lax Ulysses is with the rules around town and offers him the sheriff job permanently, saying he can have some time to think about it. After Kibner leaves, Ulysses looks out the window and sees Blaine arguing with Alex, Gunderson's only child. Blaine doesn't let Alex into the memorial and sends them away. That night, Ulysses has dinner at the restaurant and bumps into Moira, who invites him to play pool with her. While they chat, she keeps calling him lawman since she doesn't consider him a sheriff. After she closes up, they keep drinking and Ulysses shares his story. He used to be the sheriff for a small town and married his high school sweetheart. One day, a woman went to the station to say that her father was abusing her, but Ulysses didn't believe her because her father was an upstanding citizen. Sometime later, Ulysses was called to that woman's house because neighbors heard gunshots. Her father had already been wounded, and when she saw Ulysses arrive, she shot her dad again to kill him. Then she tried to shoot Ulysses, but he shot first and ended up killing her. Although it was self-defense, Ulysses became a psychological mess after the incident, so his wife left him and hasn't picked up his calls since then. This incident is what haunts his dreams. The next morning, Ulysses wakes up to find a voicemail from Kibner, who insists he must become the sheriff. On his way out, he sees Laurie struggling with the vending machine, so he offers his help. Laurie hides her gun and introduces Ulysses to her dog. Ulysses continues to be friendly but notices someone in the back refusing to approach them. After another boring day of paperwork, Ulysses drives home but stops when he sees a van parked by the road. He finds Alex inside with a bottle of whiskey, so he rushes to sit next to them and notices that Alex is holding a gun. Ulysses takes a sip of their whiskey and asks about the argument with Blaine, so Alex explains that Kibner didn't want them in the memorial because they'd be a distraction. It turns out their father and many people in town started to discriminate them after they came out as non-binary. Alex says that this town used to know right from wrong before Kipner took over, and their father chose the town over his child. Ulysses grabs the gun and removes the bullet before taking Alex to the police station, where he puts them in a cell so they can have a warm bed for the night. The next day, an alarm starts wailing in the station and everyone is shocked because it comes from the bank. Meanwhile, Laurie and her boyfriend Keith threaten the clients and workers until the manager puts all the money in a bag. Laurie gets angry when she sees it's only around $2,000, and the clerk explains that nobody uses cash anymore. Keith wants to get more money from the vault and the clerk hesitates as he glances at the guards, who are Joe and his Yakuza friend. At that moment, a client starts having a heart attack and grabs his medicine bottle from his pocket. Laurie and Keith help him swallow the medicine, but the guy stops breathing. While Keith starts doing chest compressions, the guards secretly dial an emergency number. In Japan, Oyabun's men hear an alarm coming from a pager branded Normal, Minnesota. Suddenly, Joe stabs Keith with a knife, so a furious Laurie opens fire. A bullet wounds Keith's neck and another one hits a guard in the face, causing him to shoot Joe and send him flying into another room. Then Laurie rushes to Keith's side and cries, but he assures her the bullet just nicked him and asks her to keep going. At that moment, the cops arrive. The deputies are strangely nervous and Ulysses tells them to wait. While Ulysses walks to the door, Blaine gets a phone call telling him to do something. When Ulysses is about to open the door, Blaine and Mike open fire, which pushes Ulysses through the glass doors. Ulysses survives thanks to his vest and orders them to stop, but he's ignored so he has to fire back. Blaine and Mike waste a lot of bullets, yet Ulysses is a better shooter and only needs a few to blow Blaine's ear off. Then Ulysses starts moving, so Mike fires all over the place without caring if he kills civilians as well. Ulysses manages to make Laurie and Keith move too. However, when he picks up the sick man, he's shot in the head. When Ulysses and the thieves jump over the counter to hide, Mike finally stops shooting and the survivors run to leave the bank. Outside, Blaine gathers snow to protect his ear. Afterward, Ulysses notices that the bank manager is still there and asks him to take them to the vault. When they finally open the vault, Ulysses and the robbers are shocked to see lots of gold, cash, and mysterious crates. The manager uses this distraction to run back to his desk and get his gun. However, he trips over a body and the gun is accidentally triggered, killing him with a shot to the head. In the other room, Joe is slowly regaining consciousness because his vest also protected him. Meanwhile, Mike tries to enter through the back door, but he can't unlock it. Ulysses hears a noise and shoots the door, forcing Mike to leave. In the vault, Laurie discovers that a bullet hit Keith in the back too. When Ulysses comes back, the three of them agree to work together to survive. At that moment, the bank phone rings and Ulysses answers the call to hear Kipner, who is outside the bank with dozens of cops and armed civilians. At the same time, the robbers open the crates and find dangerous weapons. Kipner tells Ulysses that many small towns have died off or descended into poverty. To prevent that, they struck a deal with the Yakuza, who need to move their illegal contraband through the USA. Normal gets paid for holding the contraband in their bank, keeping the town wealthy. Most of the town has agreed to the plan, and Kipner picked Ulysses as sheriff because of his reputation for not caring about anything. If the Yakuza discover that the bank was robbed, the whole town will be killed, so Ulysses must kill the robbers or die with them. Ulysses' answer is to hang up and check on the couple's discovery. While Kipner is distracted by the moose, power goes out in the whole town because of the storm. Suddenly, a projectile comes out of the bank and hits Kipner, instantly blowing him up. It turns out Ulysses has fired a bazooka that the robbers found, but he admits his aim failed. Afterward, the trio approaches the door and Ulysses shoots again, this time successfully blowing up the police cars. The cops start running and jumping to avoid the flames. Once the bazooka has no projectiles left, Ulysses, Laurie, and Keith fire regular bullets and manage to run away. While the cops try to recover, Tom complains about the town only to be shot down by Joe. The storm has brought down all telephone lines, so Joe hasn't been able to talk to Oyabun, who is now flying to Minnesota because he thinks his bank has been raided. In the middle of a street, a cop finds the trio. Ulysses sends the couple to hide while he gets stuck in a firefight. After a few shots, Ulysses manages to kill the guy. Meanwhile, the robbers hide in the yarn store and Maury hears someone moving in the darkness. When Ulysses joins them, Mary Beth reveals herself and tries to be helpful. However, this is revealed to be an act when her radio gets a message asking her to stop the fugitives. Mary Beth gets a gun and opens fire, forcing Ulysses to hide behind the shelves. As a bullet destroys a door and the snow starts coming in, Mary Beth reloads and tries again. This time Laurie shoots back, keeping her distracted while Ulysses kicks a shelf toward her. Once Mary Beth is stuck in the furniture, Laurie tackles her and throws her over the counter. There's a hidden gun there, so Mary Beth opens fire, but Laurie grabs a needle and stabs her neck to kill her. After Ulysses wraps Keith's wounds in tape, he says there's a snowplow at the police station, so the three of them leave the store to head there. The mailman sees them and opens fire, causing Ulysses to fall through the window of the hardware store. As the alarm starts ringing, Ulysses assures Laurie and Keith that he's fine thanks to the vest and tells them to run. While the mailman chases after the couple, Ulysses is found by Maynard, who attacks him with a crowbar. Ulysses grabs a shovel to defend himself and a hand-to-hand fight ensues, breaking the sprinklers in the process. When Maynard is about to hit him with an axe, Ulysses sprays bug poison on his face to stop him and stabs his eye with a nail. Maynard runs to unlock his cabinet, but at that moment Ulysses hits him from the back and his head bounces on the cabinet, causing the nail to go all the way in and kill him. In the cabinet, Ulysses finds flares and dynamite. On the street, Laurie and Keith haven't advanced too much because they keep hiding from their pursuer. When the mailman runs out of bullets, he rests behind a car to reload. Keith then reveals he stole a gold brick, which he uses to attack the guy. Laurie tries to help him in the struggle. The mailman's gun breaks the lines holding a sign. Keith eventually disarms him, but the mailman still pushes Laurie, hurting her shoulder. Then the mailman punches Keith to get him off too and pulls out a knife to go after Laurie. Keith picks up the gun, but it's out of ammo again. At that moment, the sign falls on the mailman, instantly killing him. Unfortunately, the police arrive and open fire, so the robbers have to run again. Suddenly something on fire falls in the middle of the street. A priest picks it up and notices it's a flare, so he tells the team that it's fine. Soon more flares fall and nobody reacts until they explode, because they're actually dynamite and Ulysses threw only one flare as a trick. A few men fall dead and Mike runs to pick up a dynamite to save a civilian. He puts out the flame and announces he's a hero, but the dynamite explodes anyway and kills him. Ulysses keeps throwing explosives until the whole team is either dead or unconscious. At the police station's garage, Keith and Laurie manage to start the snowplow after a few tries. Sally hears them and comes after them with her gun, but she's intercepted by Ulysses and they start fighting. In the struggle, Sally trips on a cable and falls on the floor right before a police car descends on her, crushing her. Afterward, Ulysses tells the robbers that he's tired of running away from his problems, so they should leave without him and start a new life with the gold. He opens the garage and the couple drives away. The team sees the snowplow in the distance and guesses that Ulysses is at the station. While the couple rescues their dog before leaving, Ulysses gears up in the armory. However, when he steps out, he's shot down by Moira. He's saved by his vest, but he can barely breathe. Moira gives him a flask with alcohol in exchange for his guns and theorizes that Ulysses changed the end of his story. Ulysses admits he did lie and reveals he was the one who killed the woman's father. At the time it felt like justice, but he's been feeling lost since. Then Ulysses concludes that Moira killed Gunderson. Moira explains that Gunderson wanted to leave the town in the arrangement because he missed his kid, but the Yakuza don't let anyone leave. So she put a sedative in Gunderson's drink and dragged his body outside to freeze him to death, making it look like a fishing accident. Suddenly a furious Alex throws their belt through the bars to catch Moira's gun and pulls to bring her close. Now they can steal her gun and shoot her several times to kill her as revenge. Afterward, Ulysses gives Alex Gunderson's gun and names them as new deputy. When the team appears outside the garage, Alex comes out in a truck. Everyone runs away except for Walter, who is run over and killed. Joe watches the truck drive away and realizes it's going to the bank. Alex crashes the truck into the bank's entrance and rushes to the vault to set up the dynamite. At the same time, Ulysses calls Blaine's radio and tells the team that if he dies, the vault will blow up. However, he has a deal to offer. The team finds Ulysses having ice cream at the store and here's his plan. They tidy up the bank to make it look like there was just a car accident and everything is fine. Joe wonders why he shouldn't kill Ulysses right now, so Ulysses points out that Joe'll be blamed for this mess too and therefore killed with the rest of the town. The team has no choice but to take the deal. For the next few hours, the whole town works together to clean all the blood and hide the bodies. On the road outside town, Ulysses and Blaine welcome the Yakuza convoy. Blaine tells Oyubun that they don't have power because of the storm and that Ulysses is the interim, so he doesn't know anything. Ulysses acts innocent and says nobody can enter their town because of the storm, but Oyubun gets angry, so Ulysses pretends he'll make an exception for him. After the convoy is taken through the longest road to buy time, they finally make it to the bank. Alex is pretending to be a guard and has the detonator ready. Thankfully, Oyubun checks the vault and confirms everything is fine, so he's happy. Afterward, the cops take the Yakuza to a restaurant for dinner. While Blaine gives a speech about a new chapter in their friendship, the waiter uncorks a champagne bottle and the cork hits a decoration. When it falls, it accidentally fires a gun that blows up Oyubun's head. The Yakuza immediately pull out their weapons for revenge and a firefight ensues in the restaurant. With chaos in every corner, Joe shoots Blaine in the shoulder. When he's about to kill him, Ulysses pushes him and they keep fighting in the kitchen. Using food and kitchen utensils, they hit each other several times and Joe stabs Ulysses in the stomach. Ulysses responds by breaking his hand before stabbing him in the neck to finally kill him. In the restaurant, Alex finds a decent hiding spot and provides backup while everyone keeps shooting each other. Body after body keeps dropping dead until the only survivors left are Alex and Blaine. Ulysses comes out of the kitchen and offers them some pie. He also gives Blaine the badge. A month later, Normal is an average town again and Blaine is the sheriff, although a mysterious Asian man on the street indicates it may not be over. In Texas, Ulysses is doing another interim fill-in sheriff job and Alex is his deputy. When he calls his wife to share this update, she finally picks up.